As a wedding photographer, I've documented hundreds of couple special days, but only one where the groom didn't live to see the photos. It was supposed to be a routine summer wedding at a picturesque vineyard in Northern California. Sarah and Michael had saved for 3 years for this day, minus high school sweethearts who'd grown up together in a small town and finally made it official after college and establishing their careers. I remember thinking they were one of those rare couples who seemed genuinely connected during the ceremony. Michael kept wiping away tears while Sarah couldn't stop smiling. At the reception, instead of the typical choreographed first dance, they just held each other and swayed foreheads, touching, whispering things that made them both laugh. "Can you get some candids of just us being us?" Sarah had asked me during our planning session. "The formal shots are for our families, but I want to remember how it actually felt." So, while my assistant handled the traditional shots, I focused on capturing those intimate moments. Michael adjusting Sarah's necklace, their spontaneous dance in the kitchen, when they thought no one was watching, the way they kept finding each other's eyes across the room. The reception ended around midnight. They left in a vintage car covered in flowers and tin cans, heading to a small cottage on the vineyard property where they'd spend their first night before flying to Hawaii the next morning. At 3:17 a.m. my phone rang. It was the wedding planner, her voice unrecognizable through sobs. "Michael, as he's gone. Sarah is with the police now." 3 men had broken into the cottage looking for wedding gifts and cash. Michael had confronted them, trying to protect Sarah. They shot him twice in the chest while she watched helpless from the bedroom doorway. He died in her arms before the ambulance arrived. I sat on my hotel bed in complete shock, still wearing my clothes from the wedding, the memory cards with their photo sitting on the nightstand. The next day, instead of flying to Hawaii, Sarah identified her husband's body at the morgue. My assistant and I canceled all appointments for the week. We worked around the clock, processing every single image from the wedding, not just the good ones, minus all of them. Every smile, every touch, every moment Sarah would never experience again. Normally, wedding photos take weeks or months to deliver. We had them ready in 3 days. When we arrived at Sarah's parents' home, her mother opened the door. Sarah sat on the couch, still wearing her wedding ring, staring at nothing. She looked like she'd aged a decade in 4 days. "We brought the photos," I said softly, setting down the carefully wrapped package and album. She didn't respond at first. Then, slowly she reached for the album. Her hands trembled so badly that I had to help her open it. The first image was them at the altar, Michael, looking at her like she was the only person in the universe. Sarah traced his face with her fingertip. "He always looked at me like that," she whispered. From the very first day, for the next 2 hours, we sat with her as she moved through the album page by agonizing page. She cried through most of it, but occasionally she'd smile or even laugh at a particular moment when she reached to candid shots, minus the ones of them just being themselves, minus she broke down completely. "Thank you," she said through her tears. "I was so afraid I'd forget the little things, the way he tilted his head when he laughed, how he always touched my lower back when we walked. These will help me remember." We left the photos and quietly excused ourselves. As photographers, we're used to capturing people's happiest moments. We're not trained for this, to witness our images transform from celebration to memorial in the space of a single night. 3 months later, the men who killed Michael were arrested. A year after that, Sarah used some of the wedding photos in her victim impact statement at their sentencing. "This is what you took from the world," she told them, holding up their first dance photo. "Not just my husband, but all the years we were supposed to have." I still think about Sarah and Michael often. Their wedding photos sit in a separate folder on my backup drive. I can't bring myself to delete them, but I also can't look at them. They remind me that every moment we capture might be more important than we know. That sometimes photographs aren't just memories, they're all that remains.